An ancient nuclear reactor in Africa that could be 2 billion years old, according to what some specialists are saying, is perhaps the greatest overthrow of humanity. It's not just the fact itself, it's not just the conditions under which it was built and operated. This ancient nuclear reactor, it's also the question who built it and created it about 1.8 billion years ago. In 1972, a worker at a nuclear fuel processing plant noticed something suspicious in routine uranium analysis taken from a regular source in Africa. The material under study contained 3 isotopes, that is, 3 forms with different atomic masses: uranium-238, the most abundant variety, uranium-234, the rarest, and finally uranium-235, the isotope that is sought after because it can withstand a nuclear chain reaction. For weeks, experts in the French Atomic Energy Commission, CEA, had been puzzled. In the Earth's crust, on the Moon, even in meteorites, we can find uranium-235, which is only 0.720% of the total, but in the samples analyzed, which came from Oklo in Gabon in Africa, a former French colony in West Africa, uranium-235 is only 0.717%. This small difference was enough to alert French scientists that there was something very strange about those minerals. These small details led to further research showing that at least part of the mine was well below the normal amount of uranium-235. About 200 kilograms seems to have been mined in the distant past. Today, this amount is enough to make half a dozen nuclear bombs. Very quickly, researchers and scientists from around the world gathered in Gabon to investigate what is happening to uranium from Oklo. Oklo stocks surprised everyone gathered there. The uranium found was actually from an advanced underground nuclear reactor, something that goes far beyond the capabilities of our current scientific knowledge. Researchers believe that this ancient nuclear reactor is about 1.8 billion years old and that it operated for at least 500,000 years in the distant past, 500,000 years. Scientists conducted many other studies in the uranium mine, the results of which were made public at a conference of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, and according to news agencies from Africa, the researchers had found traces of fission products and fuel waste at various locations within the mine area. Compared to this huge ancient nuclear reactor, our modern nuclear reactors can only really be compared to it, both in design and functionality. According to studies, the ancient nuclear reactor was several kilometers long. It's surprisingly interesting that for a large nuclear reactor like this, the thermal impact on the environment was limited to just 40 meters on all sides. What the researchers found even more amazing is that the radioactive waste has not been moved outside the area, but is still kept in geological reservoirs around it. Most surprising of all, the nuclear reaction had taken place in a way that created plutonium, a byproduct, while the nuclear reaction itself had been tempered, what is considered a holy grail for atomic science. The ability to attenuate the reaction means that once the reaction started, it was possible to increase the output power in a controlled way, with the ability to prevent catastrophic explosions or the release of energy in a single moment. Researchers have called the Oklo nuclear reactor a natural nuclear reactor, but the truth about it goes far beyond what we normally understand. Some of the researchers involved in testing the nuclear reactor concluded that the minerals were enriched in the distant past, about 1.8 billion years ago, to spontaneously produce a chain reaction. They also concluded that water had been used to quench the reaction in the same way that modern nuclear reactors cool down by using graphite-cadmium ratios as a precaution to avoid a critical situation and explode. All this in nature. However, Nobel laureate Dr. Glenn T. Seaborg of the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission for for his work on the composition of heavy elements, pointed out that in order for uranium to burn in a reaction, the conditions must be exactly right. For example, the water involved in the nuclear reaction should be extremely clean. Even a few parts per million of contaminated water would poison the reaction, bringing it to a standstill. The problem, however, is that there is not so much clean natural water anywhere in the world. Several experts have spoken of Oklow's incredible nuclear reactor, stating that at no point in the geological history of Oklow's reserves was uranium rich enough in uranium-235 for a natural nuclear reaction to occur. When these stocks formed in the distant past, due to the slowness of the U-235 radioactive decay, fissile material would make up only 3% of the total stocks, something very low, mathematically speaking, for a nuclear reaction. However, one reaction took place mysteriously, suggesting that the original uranium was much richer in uranium-235 than in a natural formation. Based on the above, all this is amazing, and we are really embarrassed in the face of such a discovery. Who were the ones who used the space and carried out a nuclear reaction, in essence ecologically, using natural products 1.8 billion years ago? Certainly our imagination or logic cannot grasp these concepts. How clean was the water 1.8 billion years ago? No one can answer, just as one cannot answer whether these who created this reactor filtered and purified the water of that time were earthlings, human beings from somewhere else. We don't know. However, it seems that they were humans or pre-human species according to recent reports. Perhaps the biggest upset of all. Sources are from Scientific American, Stanford Education, Wikipedia. This is translated for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.